Boom. What's up, guys? We are live. So we got Donovan Sharpe joining us
Yo,
for
yo.
part two. So if you guys didn't see, we did a part one to the debate on his channel. Definitely check it out. It was a really good discussion. I think we're both quite happy the way it went.
Yeah.
I think we really got a little intense at times, but it was in a good way. I think we
Yeah, that's the point.
really ironed out some points, and I thought it was a really good discussion. So this is going to be part two to that.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I don't think a discussion can be a discussion if it doesn't get a little intense. That's just how it is. Anyone who has I don't know, like this is just what men do. This is just how we are. We can have disagreements and but at the end of the day we can still go have a beer. So
Yeah. Well, I think that's like something that's missing. A lot of people just get too triggered, and then like
yeah.
I had this happen with Ask Nelly, where we had a good debate, but then afterwards she just like got all like butthurt about it. So it's
Well,
good.
she's a woman, so that's just kind of how that goes.
Well, anyway, so let's get into so basically let me kind of lay it out. So anyway, so
Do
the
it.
first thing I want to mention is don't harass Donovan, don't harass this girl. He gave me the same courtesy. So this at the end of the day is just a debate. It's a clash of ideas, nothing more. So
There you
I
go.
don't want to see anyone sending him or his girl nasty messages or anything like that. That's not cool at all, and that's off limits.
Appreciate
And also, I want to say that let's give even though I disagree with some of the stuff Donovan says, I respect the fact that he's willing to do that. So
that. Yeah.
truly, I mean that. Like the fact that you're willing to have a discussion is more than a lot of people. What are a lot of people willing to do? So that
Yeah.
in itself, is admirable. So let's start off with a very quick introduction, maybe for anyone who's not familiar with you.
Sure. Yeah, my name is Donovan Sharpe. I've been a member of the Manosphere since way back in 2014. I've written over 80 articles for Return of Kings. I wrote 120 articles for another website, and I had great success. I decided to start my podcast in 2016. Started on SoundCloud, moved it to YouTube, and after I've had great success on YouTube. I pulled off my first successful event last June, and I'm doing another one this May. So yeah, slowly but surely we're growing. We're going. My goal is to get my message online and offline, because when you're online you can be canceled and all that good stuff. But yeah, that's pretty. And my goal really is just to. My goal is to help now both men and women, create good relationships for themselves, because in the end, we can talk all the shit we want about men and women. Men and women need each other, and we're better together. We're better together, I think. I think men are better. We're a little better off when we're single than women, but that doesn't mean that the right woman can't elevate our lives. I have what I believe, at least for the time being, a woman that elevates my life, and so life is good, man.
Cool. Awesome. So in this debate, we're going to specifically focus on what I perceive to be contradictions in some of the message. And I'm going to preface it by saying I don't think everything you say contradictory. I think you have a lot of good points, but there are some things that I picked up on which I thought were contradictions. So we're just going to go through them one by one, and then you can give the counter arguments. And we
By the way, I have until 9:15.
Okay.
So, this will be a good hour and 15 minutes.
Okay.
I'm an old man. I got to go to bed early. So.
Okay, that's fine. We'll try to do this in good timing.
Cool.
Okay, so the only rule we're going to have is just no interrupting. Everything.
There are no rules. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this. Let's start off with this one. So you have a quote that says, "Women are incapable of leadership." So in your debate with Kevin, you say this, and you basically cite as an example that there's almost no female CEOs. Like 8% of Fortune 500 companies are female, right? CEOs are female. So do you still agree with the statement?
And the statement is that women don't make good leaders.
Women aren't capable of leadership.
Women aren't capable of leadership. You know what? I'll adjust that a little bit.
Okay.
I think women are capable of leadership in the right environment. For example, women are capable of leadership with regards to leading the children. The man is the head of the household, the wife is in charge of the kids, the man is in charge of the wife and the kids. But as far as being female leaders, listen, are women capable of leadership? Yeah, sure they are. Most of them don't make very good leaders. And the reason for that, there are some women that do make good leaders outside of the home, but the biological answer is that women are never chemically identical from one day to the next. Their bodies are constantly preparing themselves to give life, to give birth. And because of that, their chemical makeup it's never the same from one day to the next. And so they could be feeling some type of way one day, then feeling another way the next day. The fact of the matter is that now this doesn't mean that they can't have the presence of mind to say, okay, I'm a little bit emotional, but maybe I need to take a step back. But this is why if women made better leaders than men, then most women would be leaders. Does this mean that women are less than men? No, of course not. I think that men and women are not the same. But that doesn't mean that we don't contribute equally to society. I know a lot of guys like to say, oh, women are useless. No, women are not useless. They're very useful. However, when they are in the woman's role, that's when they excel. Unfortunately for women, they really try to take on leadership roles. They try to lead people. They try to lead corporations. There are some women who are capable of leading people. That is both men and women. But by and large, women do not make as good they don't make as good a leaders as men.
Okay, so I want to clarify. So are you changing your statement now to say women are incapable of business leadership or leadership when it comes to a company, or do you not actually believe that anymore?
I'm going to try to make this as plain as possible.
Yeah, please do.
Men are better leaders than women, all across the board. There are some women that are better leaders than some men, but those are few and far between. As far as in businesses, listen, I'm again, if you have a female who knows her stuff and she can lead people, then great. But it's my opinion that men simply make better leaders than women. This doesn't mean that women are incapable of leading, because they are. I mean, we can look around us and see that there are some fairly capable female leaders. But the way it goes, if women were better leaders than men, then there would be more females in those leadership roles outside of the home. So that's
okay. Yeah. So let me kind of address this. So this is kind of this is something fairly common that not only you do, but I see a lot of people in the red pill community do in other communities. It's called the Maud and Bailey fallacy. So basically, what that means is when you make an extreme claim, like for example, I say all red pillars are massive liars, but then when that claim is being challenged, you kind of back down and retreat to a claim that pretty much everyone can agree to. So, for example, I say, "Hey, Donovan, all red pillars are massive liars," and you say, "Well, dude, like, come on, like, what about this and this?" I'm like, "Well, Donovan, there are some lying in the red pill community," and that's a statement that we can both agree with, right? So, this is kind of what I see. So, like, for example, with this, you're saying, in the initial thing, you say women are capable of leadership, right? But then, kind of when challenged on that, you kind of go back to like, well, on average, men make better leaders than women, which is something that I agree with you on, right?
Sure.
But that's a different claim. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I see where you're going, and you actually said it yesterday. A lot of times we make statements for effect. Women are incapable of leadership. We always say, here's another thing we like to say: all women are like that. No, not all women are like that. Most women operate the same way within the construct of the sexual marketplace, but not every single woman acts like most modern women. So when I say something like women are incapable of leadership, I didn't say all women are incapable of leadership. I guess what I should have said is that men are far more capable of leadership than women. So when it comes down to between men and women, you have to pick men to lead. There's a saying that there's something that I said a while back. Requirements of my pilot. What is it? My pilot, my dentist, my attorney, and my surgeon. These are the requirements I have for them. They got to have gray hair and a Y chromosome.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so kind of I don't want to harp on this too much, but the reason I see that statement as somewhat problematic, and I'm not saying that like you're doing this on purpose or anything like that, I'm just explaining the statement, is because it's a sweeping generalization. So let's say for argument's sake that we replace the word women with a race. Like we say something like African Americans are incapable of leadership. Now you and I would probably both agree that's a fucked up thing to say, right?
Well, but when there's a difference between race and gender, right? An African American man and let's just say a white man, they're capable of the same things because they both have a Y chromosome. Anatomically, genetically, they're, I don't want to say the same, but they're capable of the same things. They both have the same strength and this and that and the third. But when you're comparing, you can't compare race to gender because there are major differences between men and women. Even men of the same race, like I have more in common with white men than I do with black women. That's just genetically. All I share with black women is my skin tone, but I share with you, a white man, my entire genetic code. The only difference is that my skin tone is darker than yours.
Right.
So when it comes down to that, and I understand where you're coming from as far as, like, if we say black people aren't capable of leadership, then that's that. I mean, I agree. That's another discussion. But you can't compare gender to race. I don't think. I mean, you can come up with a better example, but we can't compare. Well, if we say this about black people, and I'll also say this too. I'll never forget. I was this was a job I had a while ago, and I'm addressing your sweeping generalization question. I remember I had just taken a trip to Boston, and I said, "Man, it's just like they say, people in Boston are rude." And there's this one girl at my job who was like, "Well, I think you're generalizing." And I said, "Well, what are you talking about?" "Well, not every single person in Boston is rude." So, okay, so what am I supposed to say to get the point across? Just say most people in Boston are rude. Nobody talks like that. Everybody talks in sweeping generalization, and then when you get together and talk about it, it's a little bit more nuanced. So, when we go back to the women are incapable of leadership, women are clearly capable of leadership. I think that's obvious. I don't think I'm breaking news here. But my position is that men make better leaders than women. Maybe it was just a bad choice of words, but women are capable of leadership, but they're not as capable of men. I'll just put it to you that way.
On average, sure. And I would agree with you on that. But I think sweeping generalizations, how I guess problematic they are, depends on the context of the situation, right? So if I make a sweeping generalization and say, like, all your parties are fucking awesome, right? Like, you have a lot of parties, right? That's not a bad sweeping generalization. But however, when the sweeping generalization is something that, you know, encourages a form of prejudice, right? Like, I'm not saying you're prejudicial. I want to make that distinction. I'm saying the statement is women are incapable of leadership. Now, you're saying that to you, it's obvious that, you know, that's not what you really meant. The problem is, to, you know, the average person, not just watching your channel, watching my channel, they take a lot of the stuff we say literally, right? So they almost like worship us. So they say, "Oh, Donovan said women are incapable of leadership." Right. And that's how they perceive it. And that can become problematic, right? Because they are under that assumption that women aren't capable of leadership. Now, saying that men on average make better leaders than women, that's something that I think pretty much everyone will agree with you on. And that's something that science would back up. But that's different than women aren't capable of leadership. So
listen, I'm 100% board. I'm 100% on board with that. And I'll tell you something else. This is something interesting. When somebody makes a broad, sweeping generalization that is nice, nobody has a problem with it. But when somebody says something that has a negative connotation, that's when everybody seems to want to challenge it. So listen, I'll certainly concede that women are incapable of leadership. And again, this isn't to absolve me of anything. I didn't say anything wrong. This is just me. This is just me. And again, you know, part of this, and to deny that this is a business would be disingenuous. And I've told people on my podcast before, sometimes I'm a little more theatrical with some of my points and talking points. This is part of the business. There's no such thing as someone who is, you can't be provocative, you can't get eyeballs if you're always qualifying your statements. Well, 96% of women are incapable of leadership. They're going to be like, "Wait, what?" But when you say something like women are incapable of leadership, but let me tell you why, then maybe later on you say, "Listen, women are capable of leadership, but on average men are much better leaders than women." I think that's probably the more responsible way to do it. So instead of just making a statement on its face, make the statement, don't qualify it, make the statement, stand by your statement, then maybe give it a little bit of nuance. That's just kind of how content creation works.
Yeah. So I think that might in and of itself be a little bit of a different discussion on what's a better strategy you're presenting. So let's just take that aside.
That's a very good point. Yeah.
So okay, I'm not going to harp on this. So okay, so you're saying now basically you're changing your initial statement to say basically men on average make better leaders than women. You no longer are actually sticking to women aren't capable of leadership, like, just to make sure.
I'm not going to take back what I said, but I will admit that in the future, if I do make that statement, women are incapable of leadership, underscore men are just much better leaders than women. Again, you have to have the tagline, you have to have the hook. It's just the same with any YouTube title. Jesus, I can't even think of one. I mean, you know, pick a YouTube title. Any YouTube title is always, it's always exaggerated a little, right? And then the thumbnail is exaggerated. You get their attention, they come in, they're like, okay, this isn't as sensationalized as I thought it would be, but I'm still getting entertained. So when I say things, there are a lot of things that I say for effect, and I've told people that they are for effect. And I can and listen, if I didn't give it nuance after I said women are incapable of leadership, then in the future I'll certainly give it nuance. But I'm not going to take back what I said. Men are better leaders than women. I'm not going to use outliers as a way to qualify my statement. I'll just put it to you like that.
Okay, so I'm a little confused though, because you're saying sort of two contradicting things. In the first part of your, what you said, you're saying that, yeah, I should have clarified that statement better.
Well, I did.
Yeah, right. But then in the second part of your statement, you're saying that you don't want to change the statement because this is an example of an outlier. So I'm just kind of trying to reconcile those two things.
Yeah, there's really no reconciling it. There's really no reconciling it. I mean, I'm not gonna back down on what I said. I'll admit that maybe I should have given it a little more nuance when I said it originally. But if you go back and watch the video, I gave it enough nuance to the point to where people, when they watch it, they're like, okay, women. And the thing is this, man, it's like, you have to understand, people who watch us aren't living in a cave. It's not like they've never observed human behavior.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, bro.
Okay, all right. That I will concede. Touche on that. But we do have a number of people who are out. A lot of guys do have female bosses, and their female bosses are a little bit unhinged. They're a little bit inconsistent. So when they hear me say, well, women are incapable of leadership, they're like, yeah, you're goddamn right. My fucking boss, Janet, she's a fucking crazy person. That doesn't mean they are incapable of actually leading. But what it does mean is that men make better leaders. So again, I make provocative statements. I make provocative statements to, again, get the attention. This is what Myron Gaines does. Kevin Samuels, all the big content creators do this. And then of course we add a little bit of nuance, but I guess you're probably right in terms of people living under a rock. I mean, it is kind of shocking how little people do get out. So I guess I'll have to think about that next time.
I guess like the one last point on this, I would say make an analogy. Like, for example, if I say, everyone gets laid on Tinder, right? Because my channel is largely about online dating. And
right.
Then,
I'm going to click on that. Oh my God, everyone.
Right. You will, right? But then you'd be like, wait, what are you talking about? I know this guy who didn't get laid on Tinder. I know this guy who didn't have success. And then I go back and I say, well, what I mean is that if you follow all my tips and you optimize and you're a decent looking guy, then you can have success on Tinder, right? People could see that as problematic, right? Because I'm making a strong statement, right? Just to kind of catch them in. So that's just the last food for thought. But okay, let's move on to the next point, since we're kind of not disagreeing on much. So, okay, so the next thing, and again, I'm going to just quote you, and then I'm going to ask you if you still believe in this position, right? Because I don't want to, if you change your mind, I don't want to hold you to something you no longer believe. So you said men of high value don't commit to girls with high body count. Is that still your position?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
So you said men of high value don't commit to girls with high body count.
There's nuance to that. Men of high value commit to women with high body counts all the time. The difference is that men of high value commit to women who do not give off the signs of a woman of a high body count. So in other words, if you're a man of high value, what you're looking for is a woman who has the signs of a quality female. There are, and one of the things that men have to understand these days is that you're not going to find a woman with a low body count. There are no, I mean, the virgins that are out there are already spoken for. They're married, or they live with their parents until they're going to be married. They're homeschooled, maybe in some Amish village. So what I teach guys to do in terms of vetting women, you vet women for certain traits. If she does XYZ, if she says XYZ, chances are she has a high body count. Now, just because a woman has a high body count doesn't mean that she doesn't have some redeemable qualities. Men, we have to commit to something. We can't just stop dating, because just like you said, men and women need each other. Men want women, women want men. Pardon me. Oh boy. I think I ate a bad burger or something yesterday, so bear with me. Sure. But what I meant when I said men don't commit to high value men don't commit to women with high body counts. The nuance in that, if you continue to listen to the video, is that high value men don't commit to women who have outward slut tells, right? You could have a woman who has a body count of 250. If she's feminine, if she's demure, if she doesn't have any tattoos, if she doesn't flirt with your homeboys, if she's not on OnlyFans, if she's not on Tinder, then at that, and of course, if she abides by conventional, traditional gender roles, then at that point, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, okay. you might want to commit to her. But to expect that there's going to be women out there without a high body count, to me, that's wishful thinking.
Okay, so that's good nuance that you added. So one thing I'm a little confused about. So you're saying that basically pretty much every chick nowadays has a high body count, which I actually agree with you on. We're agreeing on the premise.
Yeah, of course.
So then, and then you're saying, so what you're really looking for is the outward slut of signs of her being a slut, like her acting in a certain way and whatever, right? Which I also agree with you on. So we're agreeing on the premises. But so if the high body count thing doesn't matter because all chicks nowadays have a high body count anyway, why say men of high value don't commit to girls with a high body count? Because the body count thing sounds like it's irrelevant since every chick already has it.
No, now that's an interesting question. The high body count is not irrelevant. It's the woman. Not all, how can I put this? Not all body counts are created equal. You have some women who have high body counts who are just, I don't want to say low character women. If you have a woman, let's just say you have two women. They both have slept with 50 guys, presumably. Let's just say we know that. Let's say one woman likes to cook and clean. The other one doesn't. Let's say the other one abides by traditional gender roles. The other one does not. Let's say the girl that again, equal body counts. Let's say one girl is on Tinder all the time and one girl has an OnlyFans and the other girl does not. Let's just say the girl that's on Tinder has the slut tell, she smokes, she's got tattoos, the other girl does not. At that point, this is when body count only matters to the girl who is showing signs of her body count. There are a lot of women who are very good at, and this is for survival reasons, there are a lot of women who are very good at not necessarily hiding their body count, because we always tell guys, do not ask women what their body. I don't know what Devin's body count is. I don't want to know. I don't care to know. But what women have learned to do, or at least what they should learn to do, is, okay, I've slept with X amount of guys. What can I do? What can I sustain? What actions, what characteristics, what traits can I sustain that shows the least amount of residual effect from the high body count? So, for example, if a girl doesn't really want to kiss that much, if she's not into kissing, she's been fucked by dudes into the hundreds. And again, we both know that all girls have a high body count, but there could be one girl who has slept with 100 guys who still likes to make out. But the girl who slept with 100 guys who doesn't like to make out, maybe her body count is much lower quality. She fucked with bum ass niggas, trailer trash. Maybe this other girl actually fucked a bunch of guys who are actually good, who are actually good to her, I guess, on some level. So when it comes to body count, the only time body count really matters, because every woman has a high body count, the only time it really matters is if she is showing signs of residual effects from that high body count. The sullenness, the bitter disposition, the 1,000-cock stare, the lack of lust and fervor for life, a girl who's not really impressed by much, like, and I'm not the most overly romantic guy. And that probably has a lot to do with the fact that I fucked a lot of girls. I've seen the worst in girls, so that affects me as well. But when you have a girl who has slept with a lot of guys, she's been through a lot of hurt and pain and all this other kind of stuff, but she can still act like a lady. She still has hope. She still has a little bit of innocence in her. That's when her body count matters less.
Okay, so are you saying now that what you really meant was men of high value don't commit to girls who act like sluts, but you can, as a high value.
I like that. That makes sense. Okay. Now that works. Now that I will concede. There you go. That's actually very good. That's why these discussions are useful. That makes perfect sense. Men of high value don't commit to women who act like sluts. Okay, bingo.
Right. So you can be a man of high value and be with a girl who has a high body count if she doesn't act like a slut, right?
Right. Right.
Okay.
I see the Simon live on the screen, man. But yes. As long as she doesn't act like she has a high body count, then yeah, at that point, her body count matters a lot less. You don't want a woman who acts like a slut. Listen, you could have two girls that are super sluts. If one girl acts like a slut and one girl doesn't, guess what? The one girl who's not going to act like a slut has a much better, the odds of her securing a high value man are much better, because just like you said, high value men do not commit to women who act like sluts. So yeah, I'll give you that. That makes more sense.
Yeah. So the reason I'm kind of harping on this is because I actually agree with you. And a lot of the premises that you have is that you don't want to commit to a girl who acts like a slut, right? You don't want to commit to a girl who's flirting with other guys in front of you. But because of what you said, that pretty much nowadays most chicks have a high body count.
Yeah.
That saying things like men of high value don't commit to girls with high body count basically means you can't commit to anyone. You have to be alone forever.
Yeah. Right. That
That's
makes perfect sense. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely retract that. Yeah. Men of high value do not commit to women who act like sluts. That makes perfect sense.
okay, cool. Let's
Yep.
let's move on to the next point
Yep.
then. Okay, great. So I want to just clarify some of your positions on this, and this is about the wall. So
Ah,
what age is post wall?
Jesus Christ. It can be post. Oh my God. Women hit the wall at various times. Obviously, genetics has a lot to do with it. I remember I was in this one discussion with this girl. Her name was Lisa Fay. She says, "You would have everyone believe that as soon as a woman turns 30 years old, her value is completely no. The wall is it's real. It is a figure of speech, but there
Okay.
is no one age that women hit the wall. If a woman has good habits, if she doesn't smoke, if she doesn't drink excessively, if her diet is on point, if she exercises, if she takes good care of her skin, the wall can be delayed for quite some time. Like it can be delayed for quite a while. It is going to hit her at some point, but it's going to be delayed for quite some time. However, women who don't take care of themselves, who make bad decisions, sleep around, do drugs, tattoos and all this other kind of stuff, they age very, very quickly. So the wall is real, but the wall comes earlier for women who don't take care of themselves. The wall comes a little bit later for women who do take care of themselves. And also your genetic makeup has a lot to do with that
Of
as
course.
well. So it really just kind of depends. But yeah.
So the wall, I just want to understand. So the way you think of the wall, it's basically a point where the woman has hit her decline. Is that correct?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
It's not like guys are not looking at her. It's just that the quality of guys that used
Right.
to look at her not quite so high.
Okay, so let me ask this clarification
Mhm.
question. Would a non-beta dude, like an alpha guy, date a post-wall woman? Like, do you believe? Like, do you believe? Let me.
I date a post-wall woman, dude. My girlfriend is 45 years old. She doesn't look any. I mean, she looks great now, but she's never going to look anywhere near she was when she was 25. And a lot of guys would say, well, if you're an alpha, you would never date a post-wall woman. Well, that depends on your station in life. I've had many young, beautiful women. I dated a shitload of them in Vegas, but they didn't offer me anything of value outside of something hot to stick my dick in and pre-selection. As great as that was at the time, that served what my lifestyle was then. But when I decided to leave that lifestyle, having a hot young girl is quite literally, I mean, and listen, I mean, hey, it's great to have a good looking girlfriend, but outside of looking good in pre-selection, young, beautiful women have little use to me. This doesn't mean that they're useless, but I'm not at a point in my, and who knows, maybe in 5 or 10 years when I'm retired, maybe I will have another hot young, pretty little 20 something, who knows. But as of right now, yeah, I choose to date Devin because I care for her very much. I love her. She's very attractive, but what she lacks in her looks and fertility, she more than makes up for in her company. She is extraordinarily skilled. She's an SEO expert of 2 decades standing. She built my website. She built my mobile app. She handles all of my back end stuff. She handles all of my ticket sales. So yeah, what I sacrifice in Devin in terms of her peak physical beauty. Unfortunately, these days, women, I don't know, and I wasn't alive then, but women who were incredibly beautiful back in the 40s and 50s, they had some agency. They could have a conversation, they could cook and clean, and they were actually pretty good company. Things could not be more different today. So listen, it's great to have a hot young girlfriend. Just understand that there are pros and cons to both. The pros of having a hot young girlfriend is, well, you have a hot young girlfriend. The cons is that she's really not good for much anything other than being hot and watching her diet and watching her figure. When you date an older woman like myself, so long as she's physically attractive, the cons are that she is older. Dude, my girlfriend is almost 5 years away, or less than 5 years away from 50 years old. That's a con. Fortunately, she hit the genetic lottery and she still looks great for her age. But what she lacks in her fertility or lack thereof in her beauty, she makes up for in the good company and what she does for me. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that because there are a lot of, I guess, alpha guys who date women who are post wall I guess by definition. I don't look down on them. Now, Leonardo DiCaprio, he's an actor. He can date hot young girls and trade them up when they're 24 all along. It is what it is. But when you're a man in my position, I'm trying to build something. I just don't have time to deal with hot young women anymore. And if that means dating a woman who is 1 year older than me, then I'm good with that.
Yeah, so everything you just said makes total sense to me, and I think these are all good reasons. And obviously, I wish you and Devin the best in your relationship. Like everything you just said makes sense. What I'm having a hard time
Mhm.
is reconciling it with some of your earlier statements
Mhm.
where you say, for example, this is a direct quote: "Post-war women get married all the time, but it's to low-value beta men. They don't respect these men." So I'm just trying to like understand how like either you no longer completely believe in that statement,
Mhm.
because it sounds like you're saying two different things. You're saying in that
No, no, I'm saying the same thing, and I'm not married to Devin. I will never ever marry Devin.
okay.
So yeah, listen. I mean, listen. Is marriage and long term commitment, is it the same thing? No, it's not, because you're literally hitching your wagon to that woman. If Devin and I were to go our separate ways today, I'd be free and clear. So yeah, I still stand by that. Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to understand is like, that you're right. You say in that statement that that basically they get married to these men, but
Mhm.
like it sort of implies in that statement, and again, I think that probably most people will agree with me. It implies that if you're a high value guy, you would never date a post-war woman. And but before that, you just outlined like really good reasons why you are, according to yourself, dating a post-war woman, and
Mhm.
all the reasons make sense. But then, like you're saying, the only thing that separates you from these guys who are beta who are marrying them is the fact that even though you guys have been together for a while, you haven't married her. Like you're saying that's the only difference.
No, no, that's not the only difference. One of the only difference, another difference, is that I'm at a different stage in my life. So not only will I never marry her, because that's just not something I'm going to do, I'm at a different phase in my life. That's the first thing. That's number one. Number two, just because I can't date hot young girls doesn't mean that or just because I don't date hot young girls doesn't mean that I can't. Number three, no one. I mean, and look, I'm not. Uh, I can't call myself an alpha guy. I can't say I'm high value.
Yeah.
The market decides that, but men, they're high value men are not all the same. There are some, and listen, check this out. Your value is determined by women. Women determine your sexual market value and your relationship market value. I'll just put it to you that way, because women can't decide what value a man has as a chairman of the board, because they don't know anything about that. But women, as far as relationships and sex are concerned, they are the market. So okay, so there's a guy who isn't worth shit, doesn't have a job, lives with his mom, but girls like to fuck him. We can sit here and say that guy is low value all you want to. Girls are fucking him. Girls want to be in relationships with him. Girls want to have his baby. So he has some sort of inherent value. So in terms of a woman's decision, as far as value is concerned, different men offer different elements of value. Some men offer great dicks. Some men offer notoriety. Some men offer a good life. Some men offer a lot of fun, things of that nature. So not all high value men are created equal,
Sure.
and not all high value men are at the same stage in life. As such, you can't expect different kinds of men to be attracted to or have use for the same kinds of
Of
women.
course.
So the same kind, listen, I mean, the same kinds of women that these guys go for. Listen, we're all looking for attractive women.
Sure.
At this point, whether it's post wall or not doesn't matter to me right now. It could matter to me in a few years. It just doesn't matter right now. So if somebody wants to say Donovan is low value because he has a post wall girlfriend, okay, I mean that's your opinion. But I'm 6'2", I'm in reasonably good shape, and I'm going to make into the high six figures this year. So I'm certainly not low value. But if you want to call me low value, if guys want to call me low value because of the age of my girlfriend, I mean, I'm okay with that. I mean, they don't know me, so it
So
is what.
I want to clarify my statement. So I am not saying that you're low value or you're beta
Oh
because
yeah, yeah, no.
I'm not making that statement because I don't agree with the premise. I don't think that you're low value or beta
Yeah,
because you're dating a post-war woman, right? So I'm not going off what I said, but I think I
sure.
want to comment on the second thing you mentioned
Mhm.
is that you said, well, the market determines your value, and that is true. But
Yeah, the female market.
there's also your self-perception, right? So, for example, the market could think you're high value, but you think you're a piece of shit, right? So, I guess my question to you would be, how do you see yourself? Like, you don't see yourself as a low value beta man, right? Like, that's correct. Like, that's not how you perceive yourself, irregardless of the market.
No, no, I'm with you. You can also flip that on its head. A lot of girls say, well, perception is reality, and I perceive myself as a bad bitch, therefore I'm a bad bitch. And she's a busted bitch. How do I see myself? That is a very good question. I don't know that I can call myself. And I'm very, very careful with. Listen, I'll put labels on everybody else, but as far as myself is concerned, I try not, and I guess the reason why I don't label myself is I don't want to make myself complacent. You know what I mean? I don't want to listen, statistically, yeah, I've got value. I make a shitload of money. I'm taller than 86% of men in the whole wide world. I mean, it is what it is. But the way I guess the way I perceive myself, I guess that I guess that breeds confidence, right? And the more confidence you appear, the more value you appear to have. So I wouldn't call clearly I'm not a low value guy because I do have some sense, I have some sort of net worth. But as far as high value, I'm very careful about maybe calling myself that. I think I'm on my way. I'll put it to you like this. Kevin Samuels has a guy called Henry that's high earner, not rich yet. So as a Henry, I'm a high earner. I'm not rich yet, but I'm certainly a high earner. I'm an average to below average looking guy. I don't have any, deformities. So if most women, I would assume if most women were to observe me, my guess is that a lot of women would say, yeah, that'd be a guy I date. He's a reasonably good looking guy. He's taller than most men and he makes a good amount of money. So yeah, I would probably, I would date that guy. That would be my perception of myself. So am I a high value guy? I don't want to say that I am yet, but I'm certainly on my way.
Okay, I mean, I see your point about how you don't want to just constantly saying I'm a high value guy, I'm a high
Yeah.
value guy. It's kind of tacky. But what I'm asking is more specifically, just how do you personally you can view I see myself as a high value guy. I have no problem saying that, but I don't. You'll never see me in a video saying I'm a high value guy. But
Sure.
now that we're on this topic, I do see myself as a high value guy.
Sure.
So
Sure.
I guess I'm just trying to understand are you not do you truly not believe that you're a high value guy?
Not yet.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because I've been complacent before. I've gotten, dude, I remember the first time I ever made $100,000 in a year, and I thought I was the shit, and I wasn't shit. And after a bunch of things went down, I said, you know what? I'm never going to. I don't want to get my. I don't think I'm a piece of shit, but I want to be able to, and I think this is a man thing. And listen, in my mind's eye, am I a high value guy? Yeah, probably. But I'm very careful about making even self-declarations, even absent other people, because I want to maintain that edge because I'm human. And if I tell myself something enough, at some point I start to believe it. And in order to be a high value guy, it almost requires you to live in a constant state of malcontent. Not that I'm always like, oh my God, I'm not good enough. No, it's not that at all. I say, okay, I'm solid, but I want to be better. I need to be better. And that's the reason that I think in large part is the reason for my success. But do I perceive myself as a high value guy? I would probably say, yeah, I'm certainly not chopped liver, but just like you said, I'm not going to declare it, on my podcast. So yeah.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, that's fair. I mean, I would say for me, it's really easy. I'm just yeah, I'm a high value guy, but I'm not going to brag about it or something like that. So I guess kind of a little bit of the logical quandary you're finding yourself in is that basically if you say you're a high value guy, then it's okay, I got to change back the statement what I said, where post-wall women, get married, but, it's also it's synonymous for commitment to, only low value beta men, right? But so then obviously, I'm sure you don't think of yourself as a low value beta guy. So then it's kind of like the quandary, because then that means you have to go back on that statement, because clearly, according to you, you're either high value or on your way to becoming a high value.
On my way.
Right. But you're in a committed relationship with, according to you, to a post-wall woman. So do you see the contradiction there?
No, there's no contradiction, because just because a woman is post-wall doesn't mean she's low value. You understand what I mean? There are many, and I'll put it to you this way. Oh my God, pardon me. I think these days, and this is probably just a byproduct of them just waking up, I think women who are a little bit older, just by virtue of being around more, they're more useful than younger women. Now, to young guys, they don't care because they're just getting started. But there are some women who they don't get better with age physically, right? But they do get better with age in every other aspect. And this goes exactly back to what you were saying yesterday about us judging, or I think I said it on another podcast, us judging women strictly on the way women look. So Devin is 45. She'll never look she won't ever look like she did when she was 25, but she has much more muscle tone than she did when she had 25. She has bigger, firmer boobs that I paid for than she had when she was 25. Nice. So there are parts of her that look better. That has to be, listen, I've got to want to stick my dick in you to stay in a relationship with you. Are there younger, hotter girls than Devin who are trying to get at me? Yeah, sure. But if they can't offer more than she does, in the package deal, then Devin is higher value. See, Devin has her value from me because I gave it to her. I literally trained her from start to finish on how to be exactly what I want and need her to be. She brought her own skill sets. She brought her own relationship. She's an exemplary cook. She's a very, very good chef. And she's very loyal to me. At least that's what I think. So just because a woman is post-wall does not mean that she's not worthy to be married. The post-wall women who are marrying the beta guys, those are the post-wall women who have low worth. Because even post-wall women who still look good and have agency, they're still dating high-value guys who are at a point in their life where, young hot girls really can't do anything for them professionally anymore. So that's the way I'll put it.
Okay, so let me be clear, because I think we're sort of talking about two different things. So
Okay.
I'm not taking any issue or saying you're contradictory for dating Devin. No, like those are all great reasons to be with a woman, right? I'm taking issue with the statement. So let me just play their initial statement. So I'm like not straw manning you, and you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay,
so
yeah.
let me just play that, and then whoops, because aspect ratio. Okay, let me just do it a different way. I'm gonna do it like this. Let me see 1 second. Share screen. Chrome tab. Okay, let's go to StreamYard. Let me just pull this up because I think it's
Okay.
Okay. Oh, it's not letting me do that.
Let me ask you this: how long ago was this? Was this recently?
I think somewhat recently. Yeah, I mean, like I've been doing so much.
That's it.
I've been doing a lot of research on you, actually.
Okay.
Let me just play it like this. Okay, this is going to be the easiest way to do it. Okay, so let me know if you could hear this. I'm about to play it. Okay, here it is. Okay.
Post-wall women, they get married all the time, but the men they get married to are very low value. They're beta males. They're pushovers. They're not real men. They're not the men that arouse these women. These aren't the men that these women respect and love. These are the beta males. These are the lower rung men.
So I guess like in that statement, basically what you're saying is like, if a guy's with a post-wall woman, that makes him low value, right? That's
No.
like
No. I guess I mean, I don't know how long ago that was, but I'm gonna stay. Oh, that's not is it? That's just the okay. I thought I had another zit. When post-wall women who marry guys, me saying that those guys are beta, again, not all post-wall women are created equal.
sure.
The post-wall women I was talking about are the post-wall women who have, who are basically been used up and used and abused. So I'm not going to walk back the statement because, again, I said married. I didn't say in a long-term relationship with. Any man who marries a woman, period. I might actually double down. There is no reason for any man to get married to a woman in this day and age. If you actually get legally, if you get married post, I don't know, 2000 or whatever the case may be, and now guys are going to go and do the research. Oh, he said there are different circumstances, but when it comes down to it, any man who marries a woman he's not living up to his potential value. Any man who has any value whatsoever, if he's smart, he's not going to get married because he's not going to put his finances at risk. Any man who marries a woman, a post-wall woman, who's willing to put everything at risk for a post-wall women, that man can't have much value because he's willing to, and again, we're going back to money here, because he's willing to risk half of his present and future earnings just to make sure a woman is legally obligated to stay. And just you have to make sure that we don't take that out of context, because every relationship is different. But any man who gets married to a woman, much less a post-wall woman, yeah, there's no way he has value, because if he had value, he would know it's stupid.
Okay, so and those are all fair points, but so you're saying there's a huge distinction between being in a serious relationship with a post-wall woman and marrying a post-wall woman. Like, you're saying those
100%.
two are completely different. Like,
100%.
you can be a cool alpha guy and date a post-wall woman, but you cannot be a cool alpha guy and marry a post-wall woman. Is that your argument?
Yes. Yes.
So at that point, wouldn't it just be more accurate to say like, you should never get married? Because it sounds like
Well, I say this all the time.
right. But it sounds
Yeah.
like the issue in what you're saying isn't with the woman being post-wall, it's with the guy marrying a woman in general.
Yeah, sure. No, I follow you. If you're a guy and you get married to a hot 22-year-old, you're making a big mistake. Okay. But guess what? There are high value guys who make big mistakes with young hot girls all the time. They're marrying these young hot girls that get taken to the cleaner. Okay. But if you marry a post-wall woman, oh, you're making a bigger mistake because not only do you not know your own value and your own worth, you're willing to risk half of your present and future earnings for a post-wall woman who's been rode hard and put away wet. So there is a huge difference. Listen, there's a reason. There is a reason why I chose the state of New Jersey to start a long-term relationship with Devin in, because New Jersey does not recognize common law marriage. There's a reason we're looking for property out in Nevada rather than California, because obviously Nevada is much less expensive to live, but there is no common law marriage. So making sure that I am financially, these days, you have to make sure that you're financially taken care of should things go sideways with your woman. And the best way to do that is to never tie the knot in the first place. Any man who ties the knot with any woman, with all of the information out there, with how biased the court systems are in family court, you're a man who doesn't know his own value. And if you don't know your own value, you're definitely low value. You marry a post-wall woman in this day and age, that's a wrap.
Donovan, you're making all great points. I'm not even disagreeing with anything you just said. But I want to just make sure we keep it to the topic because we got
okay. Yep.
Straight. Yep. So you're saying, okay, so I just want to clarify. So you're saying that you can be a high value alpha guy and be in a serious monogamous relationship with a post-wall woman, but if you marry her, then you can't be that high value alpha guy. Is that correct? I want to clarify on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the distinction lies not in the woman being post-wall, but in the act of you marrying her, not marrying her.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been a strong advocate of telling guys not to get married. And it's funny, a lot of guys like to say, well, Rollo Tomasi's married. Well, number one, he's Rollo Tomasi. Number two, he's been married to his wife for 23, 24 years. I mean, listen, she's the mother of his child. He's willing to risk his present and future earnings, but they have a good, solid relationship. Listen, Mrs. Tomasi could go feral at any time for any reason or no reason at all. But that doesn't make Rollo Tomasi a low value guy. This is before all of this. Rollo got married before he ever became Rollo Tomasi. But I always tell guys, listen, marriage. And even still, I don't want to get off topic, but a lot of guys have the very strong need to pass on their genes and legacy. Donovan, what can I do if I want kids? You can't have kids on U.S. soil. If you want to get married overseas. If you want to have kids overseas.
Yeah. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I see like in the red pill community, I see like this almost like shaming for guys who choose to date post-wall women. And I disagree with it. I don't think there's anything wrong, for example, in you dating a post-wall woman. I don't see that as wrong for all the reasons you gave. But like when people are like suggesting or shaming that you're somehow less of a man or inferior for dating a post-wall woman, well, that's a different issues, right? So I guess like you never actually said that because you said marry, right? But the implication in that statement was that like, if you're with a post-wall woman, you're not a high value man, right? So
no. That's not the implication, because then that would be a contradiction, because I'm in a relationship with a post-wall woman, right? If I were to marry her, then that would be the contradiction. There have been people out here who have lied and said that I'm actually married to Devin, even though everybody knows where we live, our real names and the court documents and all that. They're non-existent. But yeah, the distinction there is, and there are different levels to it, right? So if you date a young hot girl, hey, good for you. You can be a high value guy. If you date an older hot woman, hey, great, high value guy, but you can come and go as you please. If you marry a young hot girl, like that's bad. It's not terrible because you got her when she was young and hot, but she's still going to turn your life upside down because, America. If you marry a post-wall woman, dude, that is the kid. Any man who marries a post-wall female on purpose, No. So the marriage part. That's why I said don't get married. Don't get married to. Listen, I'm not saying you should get married to young hot girls, but if you are going to get married, I guess make sure she's young and hot. So when she takes you to the cleaners, at least you got her before she got, or presumably before she got ran through. But you absolutely cannot get married. Not in this country. No way. So the difference between me and the beta guys who are marrying 45-year-old women, I'm not married. That's literally the distinction. Yeah.
And I guess this comes down to personal interpretation. Like, in my opinion, there's not like a humongous difference between being in a serious committed relationship and marrying, but in your eyes, there's a big difference.
Well, in society's eyes, listen, not only is there a big difference in society's eyes, there's a big difference in the IRS's eyes.
Sure.
If a man listens to my content and can't distinguish the difference between my relationship and a legally married relationship, then they're not ready for this content. Oh my God, he said don't get married to post-wall women that I'm not going to date. No. I said don't get married. You can smash all the post-wall women, get into relationships with all the post-wall women you want to. Just do not get married to them. And like I said, you're going to have pros and cons to dating older women. There are pros and cons to dating young women. I've done it both ways.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to harp on the point. The way you're explaining it now makes sense. I guess I was taking an issue with the way you expressed it initially, but okay, you provided good clarification. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. So there's a video where you defend modern strategy of calling another girl in front of her as a strategy that you say is attractive. And basically you're saying like that's a good strategy. So I guess like my question, do you feel like that's good game in your opinion?
No, that's not good game. That's not good game. That's simply you exercising options. Here's where it goes horribly wrong. If there's a girl and you try to smash and she says no, and you pick up the phone and try to pretend to call, that's not good game. That's just you. That's you trying to run game. But if there's a girl at your house and you want to smash and she doesn't, you either say, listen, all right, well, if you're not into this, you can go ahead and leave. If the girl is feeling some type of way, well, wait a minute, you're going to kick me out. Well, listen, you don't have to go anywhere, but I'm going to call another girl because I'm trying to get down tonight. If you don't want to, I'm not trying to make you do anything you don't want to do. But me, that's just exercising options. Is that good game or not? I don't think it really counts as good game. That's you showing the woman that you're not going to force her to do anything you want to do, and you'll probably never see her again. But if she decides to stay, it is because of pre-selection. So is it a good game or not? I don't know. But it's a good strategy, especially if you can really call up another girl. Because one way or another, you're going to get laid. Pardon me.
Okay, so I'm trying to understand. So how can it be attractive to women but not be good game? Like, what's the distinction there?
Oh, Jesus. It's interesting. A woman who watches a man call up another woman, maybe that's attractive and maybe that's not, but something about that makes her, so a lot of women will sleep with you just to keep you from having another girl come to your place. You're not coercing anybody. So I guess, I don't know, just because something is attractive doesn't mean you're running game, right? I guess to the outsider, oh man, that's good game he ran. To me, I don't really think of that as game. That's just me doing what I do, right? And game, of course, and I don't know about you, but to me, game is shorthand for understanding how to handle today's women to your advantage. That to me is what game is. So if you have a girl that comes to your place and she doesn't want to smash, girls don't go over to a guy's place unless they want to smash for the most part. But if she happens to not want to smash, just have a girl on backup standby. And if she doesn't want to smash, call the girl. You can call her in front of her or not. Either way, she's got to go. So I don't know. Is it a good game? I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't know if it's attractive to women or not, but it's certainly more attractive to a woman if you pick up the phone and call another girl than to sit there and try to beg or say, well, fine, if you don't want to leave, then just go. And I'm just going to sulk. So that's the way I'll put it.
Okay. Would you say it's more attractive than, for example, waiting like 20, 30 minutes and trying again, or getting her on another date? Like, would you say that's more or less attractive than that?
See, now, okay. So here we go. So check this out. So if you try to smash the first time with a girl and she denies you, don't just kick her out. No. this can go one of two ways, and you've been in this situation too. You try to smash the girl and she doesn't want to smash. If she doesn't want to smash, she'll leave right away because she'll know you want to fuck. And if she doesn't really want to fuck, then she'll get up out of there. But if she sticks around, she might want you to try again. So you can try one more time. If you try a second time, and you have to take context. You have to take context into effect. If you try the second time and you get a little bit further, but she's like, no, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. Okay, no problem. Then you might want to keep her around. But if you try a third time and she denies you for a third time, that's when you pick up the phone. So to clarify what you were trying to clarify, no, don't kick a girl out if you try to smash the first time and she doesn't want to. Trust me, if she does not want to have sex with you, she'll leave the first time you try to smash her. But if she's still on the fence, she'll stick around to see if, okay, well, I think I want to, I think I may want to. Let's see what happens from here. The only time, the time to pick up the phone or to kick a girl out is after you've tried 2 or 3 times and she still isn't going to do anything. So
okay. So you're saying that this strategy should not be used the first time you try. It should be used.
No. Yeah, you got to use it. Yeah, you got to use it. You gotta. And when I talk about picking up the phone, we're assuming, like I'm assuming that if you've tried to smash 2 or 3 times. So a lot of guys and if you've been in the game long enough, you should know, or you probably do know, that a girl is not going to sleep with you a lot of times the first time you try. If a girl is DTF, the first time you kiss her neck, she's on her knees in front of you. Like we all know that. But if a girl really likes you, she doesn't want you to think she's a hoe. Okay, she'll sort of resist a little bit, but eventually she will smash. But if I get to a point to where I'm calling a girl, if a girl doesn't want to smash, I've already tried 2 or 3 times and she's made it clear to me that she doesn't want to.
Okay. The confusing thing though is that, like for example, in the video that you were reacting to, Myron's video, he says, okay, you bring a girl back, and if she's not, down to have sex, you call another girl in front of her, right? So he doesn't say, after you've exhausted your options, you've tried a few times, right? But when you reacted to that, you said, yeah, this is, he's explaining to men how to be more attractive, right?
I'll tell you what.
You're saying something different, which is that no, like you would not do that the first time. You would try a few times first, right? Which is different.
You know what? I'll put it to you this way. My way is to try 2 or 3 times, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with trying to smash a girl for the first time. And if she denies you, pick up the phone and call another girl.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
Well, I don't think there's anything like morally wrong with it or something. I mean, I'm not trying to moralize this shit,
sure,
but I'm saying, like, I guess my question to you is, okay, if it's not wrong, like, is it optimal game or is it suboptimal? Okay, I'm not even going to use the word game. Is it an optimal strategy or suboptimal strategy? For example, let me just clarify. So, for example, I have a girl back in my place and I'm trying to escalate, and she, she's like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. I could whip my dick out and chase her as a helicopter. Once in a blue moon, that could work, right?
Well, yeah, every once in a while it does work.
Right? That's an extremely suboptimal strategy, right? So, where would you put this? Would you say this is an optimal strategy or suboptimal strategy? Like,
which the helicopter dick?
No. The calling another chick in front of her the first time you try.
It depends on who you are and how many options you have. If I've got 4 or 5 girls that I know will come over and smash, the optimal strategy would be to pick up the phone the very first time. This comes down to abundance. If you have 1 or 2 girls, maybe try one more time. But if you've got several girls that you can smash or several girls that you can call at least to come over, yeah, to me, it is an optimal strategy. If she doesn't smash the first time and you've got 4 or 5 girls, you can pick up the phone and she'll bring you something or whatever the case may be. Yeah, do it. To me, that's optimal because it has more of an impact when you do it the first time. Because at that point, the girl's like, oh shit, okay, well, I guess he's really not fucking around. And if she wants to smash, she might stick around, she might not. Maybe she's feeling some type of, well, I'll teach him not to do this to me. Okay, fine. Either way, you're going to win because whether she smashes you or not, whether she's attracted to you or not, at the end of the day, when you pick up the phone to call another girl, she might not like it. She might call you an asshole, but she has a little more respect for you than she did when she first came into your place.
Well, I don't know about that last thing you said because I can tell you with this strategy, what realistically is going to happen is you might bang 1 out of 10 girls with it. 1 out of 10 girls might be like, fuck, this guy's going to get laid with or without me. Shit. Okay. 9 out of 10 times, the girl's going to get pissed off and stormed off, and you're not going to get a second date. It's just going to be like, fuck this guy.
9 out of 10 times. No. God, I guess I wish I kept track of this. I used to do this all the time. And I would say a little less than half the time it was effective. So I would say 40% of the time. So I've had 10 girls at my place and I tried to smash the first time. And I've done this dozens of times. And I pick up the phone. I mean, listen, if I do this 10 times, 6 out of the 10 girls are going to leave. 4 out of the 10 girls are going to stick around. It is what it is. And to me, even if it was 9 out of 10, then guess what? That just kept me from wasting my time. This means that I've now reduced my time wasting by 90%. If I try to smash the first time and I pick up the phone and call another girl and you're feeling some type of way, all right, cool. Then I guess she's out. I'm not, and again, we're talking, and I know it's easy for a guy like me to say, hey, if it's not going to be you, it's going to be somebody else. Because I fucked dozens of girls, man. My notch count is probably somewhere between, 150 and 200. I don't know. Maybe it's more, maybe it's less. I don't know. It's up there. But the point is I've smashed enough girls to the point to where it's really nothing for me to pick up the phone and call another girl. Now, I'm 44 now. If I were 34, a little bit less experienced, yeah, I might try a couple more times because I don't have as much experience. I don't have as many girls, but the more experience you have, the more success you have, the less tolerance for bullshit you have. I'm not trying to play games. Like, if we're going to smash, let's smash. I'm not here for the whole snowflaking and I'm a quality woman games.
So, okay, I want to expand on this. So you're saying that when you used to do this would work like 6 out of 10 times?
No. It would work 4 out of 10 times.
4 out of 10 times.
So yes, so 60% of the time it would fail. Dude, some of them got pissed off. Some of them grabbed their shit and without a word, I never saw or heard from them again. I didn't lose any sleep over it because if they got pissed off that my intention was to smash and they left, well then, okay, fine. You didn't want what I wanted. Maybe she was a girl that wanted a relationship with me. That's why she left. I didn't want a relationship. So great. I'm glad you left. The girls that stick around, if they see that I've got another girl, no, wait. Okay, no, fuck it. I'm done playing games. What the phone call, Alex, is that is a filter. I'm going to see right now, genuinely, if you really are down to fuck. Are you resisting me because you're just trying to play games and get a second date, or you're trying to get fed, or are you really trying to fuck and you're like, okay, look, all right, you got me, I want to fuck, put the phone down, blah 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 blah. Most girls are going to snowflake and they're going to be up out of there. The 35 to 40% of girls will be like, okay, all right, you got me, I'm not going to sit here and play games anymore, I came up to your place, let's do this. That's how this goes.
I'll be honest, I'm having a really hard time, I guess, believing that it would work 40% of the time or even 35% of the time.
Let me ask you this. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Listen, you're at a much further part in the game at 32 than I ever was at 32. But I lived in Vegas for damn near a decade. I've approached thousands of girls. I've been on hundreds of dates. I know for a fact that picking up the phone, it was not a 90% fail rate. I can say, at least 30% of the time at the most. I can't say exactly, but I've done this dozens of times. And I can say with certainty that it failed to work more than half the time. I will give you that. But 30 to 35 to 40%, and I'm good with the 35 to 40%. I'd be good with 90% fail rate because I'm not trying to waste time with girls who don't want what I want at the time. So
right, okay, yeah, no, just to clarify, I've also been on hundreds, thousands of dates, over thousands. I've probably done nearly as much cold approach, if not more, than you. I've done a shitload of it. So I will say this: I would equate this to when I was getting into game. One strategy I used to use when a girl was like being difficult over text is I would send her a video of me fucking another chick, right? And I'm not gonna lie, it did work 1 out of 10 times, but like 90% of the times the chicks would be like, fuck you, right? They just got indignant when they saw that. So I guess like with this, it's just like, again, I guess there's no way for this to be proven without us doing some kind of objective experiment where we videotape everything in the bedroom. But just like from my game perspective, it's like I'm just having a really hard time imagining that, 2 out of 5 chicks would at that point be like, okay, fine, I'm gonna fuck. And
I will say this.
Let me just finish this thought.
Go ahead.
I do think that yes, it is a very strong screening strategy. The problem with screening really aggressively is that you lose out on a lot of the girls in the middle. So, for example, on Tinder, I could be as my opener and be like, "Hey, you're hot, and I want to fuck you," right? then we know that the girls who respond to that are going to be all business, right? Like we screen out like everyone, but we also screen out a lot of the chicks who are in the middle. The chicks who are like, I was going to fuck him, but that's like so crass. Fuck this, right? You just wind up pissing off a lot of chicks. So the issue with the strategy I see is it's like, I've heard girls argue that's immoral, whatever. I'm not going to argue ethics. I'm just simply saying that I don't think it's effective because I can see it pissing off a lot of chicks, right? And a small percentage of chicks who have low self-esteem and just like, fuck, whatever. Like, that's the only way to get this guy. But I just think a much better strategy, like if you're in a situation like that where you have a chick over, like think about it, you've already invested an hour on the date. You've already spent a lot of time, right?
Sure.
Just putting in an extra 15, 20 minutes and just trying a few more times later. Or even if you want to like, okay, if you're thinking, I'm not going to bang her that night, at that point, just be like, okay, cool. Listen, I'm going to call it a night. Let's go another date, blah, blah, blah. I'll cook for you, right? And then you get her on the second date.
Oh, of course.
You don't really lose that much time, and then you call that other girl anyway, right? But just pissing that chick off, like I just see that as like a very suboptimal strategy.
No, that makes sense for that time in your life. But I think the difference is I never wanted a lukewarm chick. And anytime I brought a chick back to my house, I've already heavily screened her. I'm thinking, okay, she is highly likely to give me the ass that night. I'm not inviting lukewarm chicks up to my place. If I don't feel that that reciprocation of visceral sexual attraction, I'm not, if I think she's on the fence during the date, if I'm not picking up any sexual vibes or chemistry, I'm not inviting her up to my place. I only invited girls up to my place if there was high mutual interest. And I think that's probably why the phone call trick worked at a higher percentage than you might imagine. Because dude, you have to understand, I had 7 rental properties. Yeah, I had a lot of time to go out and approach girls, but I had a lot of stuff to do at night. I didn't want to waste a lot of time on girls who were not interested in sex. So before I brought them to my place, I made sure there was high interest. And when there's high interest, if she's not lukewarm, chances are she's going to respond a little bit more positively to the phone call. Now, a lot of guys might think, man, you know what? She was down to fuck and I could have fucked it up. In my world, I'm not going to spend 2 dates getting sex from one girl when I know it's going to take 1 date to get sex from another. That's just not how I do things. And I'm sure that I probably missed out on some guaranteed lays, but I'm not going for, only if a girl is an exquisite specimen, like a 9.5 to a 10. At that point, if there's high interest, if she's giving me, okay, all right, you don't want to look like a hoe, maybe I'll agree to a second date, at which point we're either smashing or you're getting out. But even still, there has to be high interest. So I always make sure I screen them heavily just to make sure they're high interest. And if there's high interest, if she's a red hot lead, yeah, that's when you pick up the phone. That's why more of them respond positively to it than girls that don't.
Okay, so I think that's an important nuance that you made. I would say with this, though, I would think that in that situation where the girl, as you mentioned, has been screened and she's high interest, in that situation, you would have been much better off just saying something like, hey, listen, like, you seem like you were super into this, and now are you changing your mind? Like, what's up? Like, doing that, instead of having a 40% success rate, would probably have an 80% success rate if the chick is already high interest. And just kind of addressing her behavior and being like, what's going on with you? Like,
yeah, I'm not, and that makes sense, but that's just not my style of game. I'm not, okay, let's sit down and talk about why we're not smashing. Me, I'm a man of action. You either want to smash or you don't. Now, a guy like you, I can see why I guess that would be effective, but me, I don't have time to sit down and debrief. Okay, let's just sit down. I had high interest, you had high interest. Where did I go wrong? I'm not interested in the whys. I'm just interested in the what. If you don't want to listen, if you don't want to smash, cool. I'm not going to take it personally. I'll pick up my phone and call someone else who did. Maybe 50% of the 60% of the girls that went home would have smashed me on the second date. But you want to know something? I'll never know, because I'm not going to waste time with girls who are not super high interested. Now, if it's a girl that I really, really liked and could potentially see a relationship with, I will try to fuck her on the first date as a way to shit test her. If she passes my shit test and does not let me have sex with her, then I'll take her on a second and third date. But if it's just a girl I'm just trying to smash, if she's not trying to smash the first night, she's out of there.
Yeah. So, okay. So I think that's totally fair. And for example, like, we're not even that different. Like me personally, I'm also like to screen out a lot of the chicks in the middle. So, for example, a strategy I've been using recently
Mhm.
is I took a picture of me in the mirror, right? And it looks like I have a humongous schlong, right? But it's like a bulge, pic, right? So it's not tacky. And I've been saying, hey, just finished a big workout, looking nice and fit for our day. Then the girl says, oh, show me. And I sent her that picture. And then that's like a really good way of sneaking in there, right? So
This
that's
is where I miss the game, man. I miss doing shit.
right. What I'm saying is, I would
I
never
got you.
then go on my YouTube channel and say, yo, guys, this is a really good strategy you should use, right? Because that's the initial issue I took with that, with the video Myron made in your response to it, is because it was being touted as an actual effective strategy. Now, look,
Well, it is. I mean, listen, even it's an effective strategy, not only to get the ass that you want. And I think the strategy really is more about getting rid of the time wasters than it is about fucking girls that are really interested. Because, and I say this all the time, most women would not have sex with most men, while most men would have sex with most women. So yeah, I mean, it was definitely an effective strategy a strategy for me to eliminate the time wasters. And oh my dude, not to get off topic here, but I've wasted exorbitant, not wasted, but I spent exorbitant amounts of money on dates and clothes and all this other kind of stuff. It got to a point where I was like, okay, my bottom line is suffering because I'm going on these second dates. Let's screen a little bit more heavily, and now let's use the phone strategy. So did I miss out on some guaranteed pussy? Yeah, okay, maybe I did, but that saved me money, and to me, money is worth a hell of a lot more than pussy. So I'm happy to forego a 2-date lay for a 1-date lay any day. I'd rather get 10% of the 1-date lays than to hold out for the other ones. But again, that was just me at the time. I just didn't. Time was very valuable to me at that point. It's even more valuable now. So I guess if I'm a 24-year-old guy, yeah, I'll wait for a second or third date if I don't have, I'll wait for a second or third date. But you got to understand, I was 30 at that point. I was 35, 36 years old. I was in the prime of my Vegas powers. I didn't have a lot of time to waste. And I'm not saying it's a waste of time to take a girl out on a second date. I'm saying for me, it was not worth the extra time and the extra money that I would have potentially had to spend. So I said, okay, I'm going to sacrifice what could possibly be a lay on the second night. I'll forego the second day potential lay for just, saving a little bit more of my time and my money.
Yeah. So, okay. So I want to be clear. I am not advocating the guy should go on second dates. That's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
What I'm saying is that, if they want to, go for it. Right. But what I'm saying is that, like with that strategy, you're calling a girl in front of her, like you kind of admitted that, like you're saying 60, I'm saying 90, but more than half the girls are going to like storm off. Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Right. But like, at that point, we're not talking about either wasting money. We're just talking about like literally just hanging it. Like you already spent an hour and a half, presumably with a girl on a date to pull her back to your place, maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours, right? Mm-hmm. At that point, just hanging in there for another 20, 30 minutes and just literally just like doing two steps, like one step back, 2 steps forward, and trying that is just like, in my eyes, so much of a superior strategy because you've already put in an hour and a half. Another extra 20 minutes is fairly irrelevant at that point.
No, you're probably right. You are probably right. But again, to me, it just wasn't worth the extra time. And like, as soon as I got a girl back to my place, I immediately went for the lay. I'm not like, dude, we'll have a drink, a cocktail, and then I'm going for it. So it doesn't take me. And again, the reason I did this is because there's high interest on both sides. So I can understand your strategy just based on where I was at that point in my life. Yeah, that was the strategy that was the most effective for me. And like I said, man, I probably Jesus Christ, I probably lost a lot of pussy, but I was going on a lot of dates. And when you take 15, 20 minutes, you multiply that by 10 or 15, dude, oh my God, you multiply that by 10 or 15 per week. And you're talking about maybe 4.5, 5 hours. I don't know how my math is. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of extra time for me, not to have to waste, but for me to have to put in, because I was having success with girls on the first night almost every night. So if there was one girl that was sort of, I'm like, okay, listen, I got another girl who said she wants to fuck tonight. Okay, no problem. I'll just go ahead and call this girl. That's the way it was for me. Is that a husky that you have?
Yeah, I have a Siberian Husky.
Oh, okay.
I think that there does need to be made an important distinction because there's a big difference between something that suits your life well and works well for you and something that's, good game or something that's attractive behavior, right? That's an important distinction. All the reasons you mentioned are great reasons for why that strategy worked well for you at that point in your life. But there's a difference, right? Because we're not just talking, to ourselves. We're talking to our YouTube audience, right? Yeah. And when we, phrase things a certain way, they just start coming up with the idea like, oh, this is a good strategy to use. Now, the way I kind of saw the whole thing, and you can correct me if you disagree with my interpretation, is that I saw it largely, like when Myron first said that, as an ego thing, right? Like fuck this bitch, she's not gonna do it. Fuck her. I'm just calling another girl in front of it. So I saw it largely as an ego thing, right? Not really an optimal game strategy, and that's fine. He's fully entitled to exercise his ego, whatever it is, right?
And
But I
it's
just
not
thought,
an ego thing. No, it's not an ego thing. It's just about wasting time. It really is just about time, Alex. That's really what it is. And I don't like if a girl doesn't want to have sex with me. I don't take it personally because to me it's just an act. Okay, cool. You don't want to smash, cool. To me, it was about just saving as much time as possible. For me, I mean, listen, for me, it's when Myron and we discussed this. For us both, it's about time. It's not an ego trip at all. Okay, you don't want to smash, cool. I'm gonna pick up the phone and call another girl. Oh, okay, you're cool now. All right, never mind. We'll do it now. But it's not an ego thing. It's just saving time.
so, but if it's about saving time, why not just be like, hey, listen, it's getting kind of late. Are we going to do this, or am I going to go to bed? Like, why not just like, why do you have to call another girl in front of her? Why not just do it in like any number of myriad ways? Like, hey, are we doing this? Like, or like just call her out or say, hey, listen, it's getting kind of late and you're wasting time. So what's going on? Like, why not do it that way? Why do you have to call the girl in front?
That's a good question. That's not my style. I've never asked a girl, hey, what's going on here? Why aren't we smashing? I know for some guys that works, but for me, that was never an option for me. I didn't care why. I wasn't making excuses. If you don't want to smash, cool. I don't take it personally. My next act is going to make sure that I get some pussy that night. I'm not interested in discussing why with the girl. I'm not going to try to talk a girl. And I'm not saying that you're talking a girl into bed, but if I try to smash a girl and she doesn't want to smash, I mean, okay, all right. I've invested an hour. I guess that's an hour that I'll never get back, but I'm not going to waste more time trying to have sex with this girl. To me, it's just a time thing.
Okay, but then why do it in front of her? Why not just be like, okay, cool. Anyway, it's getting late. I'll see you later, and then just call other.
Yes.
Why
no, absolutely. No, you're right. That's what I'll do. You try to kick the girl out. Be like, all right, well, if we're not going to do this, then blah 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 blah. Sometimes the girl will be like, well, wait a minute, you're going to kick me out if we're not having sex. I mean, if you don't, that's why we're here, right? You don't want to have sex. Well, no, I just want to. Okay, well, I'm asking you to leave. Well, I'm not leaving because, okay, now I'm going to pick up the phone and call another girl. And another reason why you pick up the phone and call another girl is to show her that you have options, to show her that she's not special. Even if you don't kick her out, you try to smash, she doesn't. All right, cool. You sit there and you start the conversation on the phone just to let her know, hey, you are not the only option that night. Girls think for and this has nothing to do with ego. This has to do with gaining her respect. Women respect men who have options. And you can tell her, well, listen, I can have a girl here anytime I want, then that looks stupid as hell. But if you try to smash and just say, all right, cool, you just act. All right, well, wait a minute, who are you talking? Who are you calling? I'm calling another girl. Whether or not she decides to smash you or not doesn't really matter. At that point, she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm really not that special. The point is that you have to let women know you are not my only option. Women only respect men who have options. And if she thinks you don't have options, she's not going to respect you. Whether you smash her or not, that's fine. I don't care. Just because a girl has sex with you doesn't mean she respects you. A girl could have no respect for you and still fuck you. But then again, that doesn't necessarily mean that if a girl doesn't have sex with you, she doesn't respect you. So in order to keep that respect and maybe keep her warm, if she wants to reach back out again, let her know. I got options. I'm not going to tell you. I'm going to show you.
Yeah. So I agree with you that women respect guys who have options. I see this kind of similar to women like guys who have money, right? Women like guys who have big dicks, right? But if you're on a date with a girl and you're like, hey, by the way, I'm rich, right? That's going to be low value. If you tell a girl, hey, by the way, I have a huge cock, that's going to be low value, right? And I see this very similar is you're literally like rubbing it in her face. Now, of course, if she finds out on her own that you have a lot of options, or maybe that she leaves and in the hallway she hovers and she hears you talking to another girl, that's a different story. But this way of doing it is just like super in her face, like equivalent to saying, hey, I have a lot of money, or hey, I have a big cock. And when you do it like that, you don't actually gain the girl's respect. You basically just like, this guy is just like, this guy's try hard, right? It's just like, what the fuck? That's the kind of reaction you get. So I agree with your goal that it's important to have the girl's respect. I just don't think this is a good way to go about it.
I'll tell you this, the difference between I have a lot of money and this and that and the third is that you can say you have a lot of money, but you can't prove it. Like there are so many men who can fake having money. They can lie about their whole life on Instagram. A guy can say I have a huge cock. Unless he whips the thing out, she's not really going to know. If a guy says I have a huge cock and whips it out, she sees she's got a huge dick. Well, guess what? She still has his respect because not only did he tell her, he showed her. But what would also be, well, all right, well, if you're not going to do this, I'm going to call another girl who will. If you actually tell her that looks even worse because she's like, oh, okay, well, I'm really fucking out of here now. You know what I mean? So if you pick up the phone, and dude, I would pick up the phone and it wasn't noisy in my house. She could hear the other bitch on the phone. She's like, oh, okay, this guy really wasn't fucking around. At that point, she has a choice to make. She can either stop playing games or she can just admit to herself that she doesn't really want to smash and exit the premises.
Sure. I would say this. I mean, like you mentioned that, like, yeah, she has no way of proving you have money. I mean, she has no way of proving that it's not like your mom on the other end and you made a deal like, your mom, when I call you at 10 p.m., you're going to play along, like or it's your sister or like a female friend. Like, so there, unless the girl physically is there, like there's no way you can prove that. So I just think,
yeah, but no, I agree. But think of it this way. It's much easier to fake being rich than to get your mom to answer the phone at 10 o'clock at night. And keep in mind, I lived in Vegas at the time. My mom lived in North Carolina. My mom's not staying up till no goddamn 1 o'clock in the morning to field some fake phone call. Number one. Number two, my mother at the time was in her late 50s. She looks great, but she doesn't sound like a young hot girl. The girls I was calling, there's no question about the fact that I was actually talking to a girl. So listen, you make a good point. You could certainly, I guess, set that up. But if you were actually to set that up and do that disingenuously, that would have a far greater, faking that scenario would have a far greater impact than faking being rich. Because at that point, at least at the very time, she's thinking, oh my God, there's another girl on the line. I never faked it because I never had to. I would pick up the phone. She heard another girl. She made her choice. And most of the time they would leave, but sometimes they would stick around.
Okay. I mean, I know you mentioned you have a time cutoff, so I want to be like respectful of that.
Yeah.
I mean,
this was a good conversation, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's like still a whole bunch of things, but we can call it that and do a part.
Yeah, let's pick this. Yeah, let's check this out. Let's pick this up. Let's pick this up next week. We can do this Monday on my channel. Then on Wednesday we can do this again on your channel.
Yeah, man. No, I think this is a good discussion, and it's interesting because as you clarified a lot of these points, it's like I feel like your actual view is so much more nuanced and moderate than what I think some people what someone's perception of you would be just by watching the videos. So it's like almost two different people. Like one is like reasonable, like logical Donovan, and one is like extremist, like absolutist Donovan.
I'll tell you this. I will admit that's the way I was when I first came onto YouTube. This is now my 9th year in the community. Early on in the community, dude, I was bomb thrower, absolutist Donovan. But 9 years ago, I was 30. God, I can't do math. I was 36 years old. I'm a lot different person now. I've experienced a lot more. Not only that, I'm now in a long-term relationship. So while my fundamental views haven't changed, a lot of my nuances have, and it's evolved with my content. Because what I talked about at 34 it was very different from what I talk about at 44. What I talk about at 44 is going to be very different than what I talk about at 54. So yeah, I have definitely changed because I've gotten older, I've matured, and I've experienced more. So yeah, listen, I'm definitely two different people in terms of, I would say episodes 1 through maybe 300. I was very different from episodes, I don't know, maybe 300 to 500, then 500 to 700, then from 700 on. I mean, it's a constant evolution. So I don't think it's a contradiction of what I'm saying. I think that as you get older and more experienced, and this is why I like having these conversations, because it gives you, just like you said, more nuance and more dimension in your own understanding of the fundamentals of male and female nature. So I'm glad that you actually say that, because that says to me, hey, you know what? Maybe I really am evolving. So yeah.
Right. But yeah, anyway, man, thanks for coming on. I think
absolutely.
It was a good discussion. I'm going to stay on a little bit extra. And
okay, absolutely. And cool. I'll see you on Monday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, man. Let's text about it. We'll lock it down. Yeah.
Sounds good, man. Appreciate it.
All right, dude. Take care. Have a good one. All right. I think this was a really good discussion. I mean, yeah, it's interesting because, well, first of all, definitely respect to Donovan for coming on, but a lot of his views are just like so much more nuanced and like modern. I guess it's, again, like kind of what I was mentioning in the beginning, it's the Mon and Bailey, kind of logical fallacies, right? When you make these like very strong statements like women aren't capable of leadership, right? But then when you're challenged on that, what you really mean is that men on average make better leaders than women, right? But those two are different things. So I was kind of trying to point that out to Donovan. And, again, like to his credit, like he his views like that he was saying on this podcast, and I don't see any reason why he's not like actually genuine about them, is a lot more moderate and more in line with what I believe than like some of the stuff that you see on his channel. So that's interesting. Like, I don't know if it's like a marketing strategy or something like that, but I was trying to point out to him how that can be problematic to make like strong statements like that. Like, women are incapable of leadership. That's a very strong statement. And a lot of people who watch your content take it literally, right? And then they just go off and say, "Oh, women are capable of leadership," right? They quote that to like some chick, and then the chick like throws the fucking shit in their face. So I think it's important to have like actually have the nuance, and not just for the sake of having a really attractive title, making strong absolute statements, right? Because you can see this that, like, for example, not equating Donovan to them, but like in the in the social justice warriors or like the feminazis, they make these statements too. They say all men are scum, right? And it's like, what? And when you challenge them on it, they're like, oh, well, actually, what I meant is there are some men who do fucked up shit. Of course, we can all agree with that. There's some fucked up guys. Doesn't mean all men are scum. Of course, on average, men are, there's more men in leadership positions than women. That doesn't mean women aren't capable of leadership, right? So that's basically what I was trying to stress. But I thought it was a good discussion. I thought it was a good debate. You guys should definitely check out the part one on his channel. And to his credit, like Donovan, basically, he answered all the questions. He's actually quite a good debater. Like, I think he's probably a much better debater than Rollo or Myron or Richard Cooper. I think he's much better. Like, I think he's actually a very articulate guy who's good at communicating. I just think some of I would say if I had to rate him, I would say he's probably as good at debating as I am. We have slightly different styles. But I would say that the positions that he had to defend were a lot worse than my positions, right? So I think, for example, the roles were reversed, and I had to defend the positions that he would have wiped the floor with me, right? Because those are just really hard, positions to defend. Like, women aren't capable of leadership, because you can easily disprove that, by citing examples of women, like the CEO of YouTube, for example. If you're watching this, by the way, give me a bump in the algorithm. So yeah, so I think stuff like that. It's interesting. I would also love to see, the way I always saw it is that like out of, there's kind of like Donovan, Myron, Rollo, MLD. They're all kind of like, I don't know, in a way tied together. And again, I wanted to avoid holding Donovan responsible for things that like his friends say, because that's not fair, right? That wouldn't be fair for me to do that. So I completely avoid that. But, unless it was his reaction to something that Myron said, right? But I think he's like by far like the most reasonable out of all of them. Like, I wish that Rollo would do this. Like, Rollo's so worried that this is gonna be a trap. Like, dude, like, you see how I do these debates? Like, I'm tough, but I'm very reasonable. Like, I don't like disrespect people. I don't like, and before this, I texted Donovan. I said, "Hey man, is there anything that's off limits?" And if he told me that, like, "Hey man, this is off limits," I would have respected that, right? So anyone who's willing to come on my channel, I have a sense of mutual respect for you. And so like this idea that Rollo has that I'm going to be like, trick him into it or something like that, or Myron says, "Oh, he's a clout chaser," like, it's pure nonsense. Like, so much respect to Donovan for doing this. I'd like to see either Rollo do this or Fresh and Fit do this. But they're not going to. I don't think they will. But it would be interesting. I think that would be good. All right, so let me go through some of the, the comments. We'll just kind of end it off there. Okay. So someone says, try to debate the fraud father Rollo. He has less game than first. Yeah, no, I've offered to debate Rollo many times, and he hasn't. He's just made excuses after excuse. So, he's like reacted to like my videos. He's done like these like 3-hour-long reaction videos, but he doesn't have the time to come on for like a hour-long debate. It's interesting. Okay. If Myron would do a debate, you'd have, yeah, I think that would be like literally like if he agreed to that, like in terms of views, like I don't think you can top that, because that would be like the match of the century. So I think, yeah, like if his goal is views, like that goal would be accomplished, because like I think everyone wants to see that at this point, like everyone. And we can do it, like it doesn't have to be on my channel. We can do it on a neutral platform, for example. Like if he really thinks I'm gonna pull some shit, we can do it on a neutral platform, right? But I'm not like, I think if mine came on for debate, I would probably press him more on personal contradictions. With Donovan, I try to keep it to philosophical contradictions, but I think Myron would have a lot harder time explaining the contradictions that he has. He would have to either do a complete 180 or just I guess ignore the question or something. Okay, let's see what else we have. What would we okay. What's your comment on Kevin Ray Wilder, Coach Whitehall situation? I have no comment on it. Like, their partnerships end. My first partnership, ended as well, with, David. So, partnerships end, there's, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like, according to Kevin's video, that, what Coach Whitehill did was pretty fucked up. But again, that's like, like there's always two sides to every story. So I don't know. I'm not sticking my beak in this, I'm on, Kevin is a buddy, and Coach Whitehill, I would say, is like a good acquaintance. So, I'm not going to take any sides. And I don't think it's any of my business, honestly. You got to respect Alex for not snapping on these dudes and making them look dumb, because if it was me, boy, yeah, I mean, you got to be patient, and again, like Donovan is, being cool by coming on the channel and having a good faith debate, right? Like, so, I'm going to be, very respectful towards that. Okay, let's see. Alex does it without any peer pressure, holds frame. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say this was that much about frame control. I did try to keep the conversations on topic, but it was more about just like getting to the points and sticking to the points and exploring the discussion. So yeah, let's see what else we have. We'll just go through some of the questions. So someone says, if they're both alpha high value, why do you feel a need to send porn pics of quality girls on finally shows? I want you. She won't care if you have options. So why do I? Well, first of all, I mentioned that I used to do this like 5 or 6 years ago when I was coming up in the game. I don't no longer do this. Why could you do it? Well, if it's a good strategy, like if it's something that works, then it would be a good reason to do it. But if it's not an effective strategy, which I truly believe it's not, then you shouldn't do it. Really, it's a simple of whether it works or not. So okay. Someone says it's funny to see different audiences' point of view. It's everyone on Donovan channel thinks Alex is dumb. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Yeah. Again, I don't expect to change like 80-90% of people's views because they're so stubborn. Like people can be so stubborn. So everyone on Donovan's channel is like, yeah, dude, you're a simp, you're a fucking beta, blah blah blah. And I don't hold Donovan responsible for that. That's not his fault at all. That's just simply, that's just like the nature of this game. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty funny. Like they think that like I got like destroyed or something like that when that wasn't the case. Okay. I'll say one thing: watching Alex game, he has really good at sexual tension. But yeah, thanks. I mean, like that's kind of what I try to show is like, yeah, like for example, difference between my podcast and the Fresh and Fit podcast. If you watch my podcast, like you get a really good example of how you should interact with girls in real life. Like, yeah, sure, I try to keep it somewhat professional, but you get a really good example of flirting, vibing, right? Not so much sexual tension, but flirting and vibing. You watch Fresh and Fit, and like all you're taught is how to be like super combative and kick girls out. So yeah. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, what else do we have? Let's see what else we have. So I'm just scrolling through the questions. Oh, what's it called? Indian Beast says, post this clip to Reddit, challenge mine, debate Alex. Yeah, that would be good. I don't think he's ever going to do it, but because he knows he'll get owned. But yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, let's see. Alex, props to you for debating Donovan. Come in late for this one. Donovan's smart. I think his generations are below his. Yeah, I do think Donovan is definitely a smart guy, like for sure. He's definitely clearly like articulate, intelligent. And I think that, yeah, his generalizations, and again, like you kind of see that when we get more into it, he doesn't even really believe in the generalizations per se. So, it was interesting to point that out. Uh, okay, what else do we have? Okay, so we kind of went through a lot of the questions. Uh, okay, let's see what else we have. Could a lot of differences due to a generation age gap? Could a lot of differences? No, I don't think so. Yeah, Donovan is a bit older than me, but no, I don't think so. I've hooked up with chicks from as early as like as young as 18 to late 40s. So no, I don't think I don't think the age gap plays any kind of role in our philosophy or views. Because you got to keep in mind, Myron is my age, and he has very similar views, right? So no, I don't think so. Uh, okay, let's see. Do you think no? Someone says, Alex, do you think Donald puts on a front for his channel, or he's just brainwashed by Roll's ideology? I don't want to speak to that, like what his motivation is. I don't know. I think that Donovan, kind of like he said, he really plays the game, and he's like, he makes these catchy titles and these strong absolute statements. But what I was trying to, kind of point out to him, how that can be very problematic because people just take you at face value, right? Quite often, as YouTubers, like we are, whether we like it or not, we're role models for people. Like people look up to us and they take what we say at face value. So if you don't have the nuance in there, or the nuance is like an hour and a half into the video, then people will just take what you say at face value and come away with incorrect conclusions, right? Because Donovan does not believe that women aren't capable of leadership. What he believes is that on average, men make better leaders than women. That is also what I believe on average, but right, there's a big difference between that and saying women aren't capable of leadership. So that's just interesting to see. Okay. Someone says, it's at the point Ripple game is to learn game set. Why aren't people learning than leaving? Seems like they spend a lot of time. Why aren't people learning than leaving? Well, I think you can stay in the community because you support, the content creator, because you can always keep evolving. Like even myself, I don't see myself as a finished product. Like I think I still have a lot to learn when it comes to content creation, when it comes to game, when it comes to being a better man. So you're never a finished product. This is something I very much agree with Donovan on. Is like you want to improve. Someone says debate Hamza. Yeah, that would actually be really good. I sent him a DM today. I've emailed him in the past because you saw I released a video today criticizing what he was saying. Yeah, I mean, for sure, I would love to make that happen. Hopefully, Hamza, jump in on that because, yeah, I mean, I think that would be a really, really good discussion. A live stream with Todd V would be awesome. Yeah, but it's never going to happen. I've reached out to him multiple times, and he's turned me down every time. He makes like actually pretty lame excuses. Like the excuse he gave, we're talking about Todd V, by the way, is that you're friends with John Anthony, and John Anthony sucks, so therefore I can't come on your channel. It like makes no sense. Like who cares who I'm friends with? Like he's making the argument that because I'm friends with John, that somehow I'm gonna like trick him into or something. Like people, like I think people are so paranoid. If you look at my like debates and live streams, there's not one example of me like pulling any shit or like being disingenuous. Like I'm very consistent in my debates where like I'm respectful. I may be tough sometimes, but I make good points and stuff like that. So Todd has absolutely nothing to worry about if he came on my channel. The other thing he said is because I made a video where I criticized some of his cold approach, and he said, "Well, that's why the reason I didn't go on your channel is because I knew you would criticize me." But the funny thing is, if he actually did a podcast on my channel out of this sense of like obligation, I wouldn't have made that video in the first place, even if I still feel the same way, because I would just feel bad. So by him doing the podcast, that video wouldn't have even existed. So his logic just makes like no sense. So, I think, yeah, like Todd should man the fuck up and come on for a debate. I think it would be good. And yeah, I think it only helps it only helps his cause. It only helps my cause. Okay, let's see what else. Yeah, you should bring on RSD Jeffy, Tyler, Julian. I would love to have either one of those out. They'll never do it though. I've reached out to Jeffy. I've reached out to Julian. Julian sent me a very nice response. He said that he's no longer doing my type of podcast. Jeffy didn't respond, and I don't think there's any chance in hell that Tyler would do it. So I would love for that to happen, but again, it's not. It's up to me. It's up to them. Uh, yeah. So someone says criticism is good though. Polishing game is never anything. Yeah, exactly. Like you're never a finished product. So yeah, I think someone says, "Yo, Alex, you should get Arash on a live stream." Yeah, I very much agree with that. That would be awesome. I've reached out to him many times. He hasn't responded. But I would love to do that. Uh, so he says, Alex, any collabs with Kevin Rewalding in the works? Yeah, I mean, Kevin is a good buddy of mine. So, yeah, for sure. There's definitely going to be a lot more. We don't have anything like planned per se, but I would love, I've invited Kevin to come to Miami and shit, do the podcast in person, film some cold approach. So, yeah, Kevin is definitely a good buddy. And, yeah, there'll definitely be more collabs in the future. Why you didn't ask him about Fresh and Fit? Because I didn't want to do that. That was conscious because he can't answer for them. Like, even though they're friends, he's not a representative of them. He doesn't work with them. So it's not fair for me to hold him accountable for like dumb shit that Fresh and Fit says. That just wouldn't be fair, right? Like, I'm having him on the podcast. My criticisms should be directed to him, not people that he's friends with. So it wouldn't have been fair. That's why I didn't do it. Okay, someone says, Alex, if Red Pill wants to keep a score late count, there should be a point system at 10 shake. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. Someone says, Alex, why do you hate Sasha Daygame? I don't hate Sasha Daygame. Like, I don't know what this premise is based on. I've never once publicly said that I hate him, and I truly don't hate him. I don't know him. I've never met the guy. I'm not that familiar with him. I've seen a little bit of his infield. So what I did is I said that I don't think his game is that great based on the infield that I saw. I don't know if he's like evolved significantly. I mean, I doubt it, but it's possible. So I don't hate him at all. I don't hate him as a person. Like if I saw him, I would, talk to him and shake his hand. It's just that I don't think that some of the game principles that he teaches are that good. Like I don't think, in the infield that I saw, I wasn't impressed. It's basically as simple as that. Someone says, debate oak leaves and onions. She was a former stripper like Chantal Heidi. Yeah, I could. I mean, I can send her an invite. I would say like when I invite people on for debates, like 90% of the time they turn me down, which again is why I respect Donovan doing this. Okay. What else do we have? Yeah, I mean, we kind of got through all the question. I don't want to make this too long, but I thought this was a really good discussion. I think we ironed out some points. And it was interesting to see that, Donovan agrees with a lot of the, ideas I have. Is just that when you watch our content, you might come to completely different conclusions. And that's what I really like about doing these debates. That's what I really like about this stuff is quite often, it doesn't matter if we're looking at a spectrum, like let's say one end of the spectrum, you have like hardcore red pillars. I'm not even saying Jonathan is that. On the other end of the spectrum, you have like the social justice warrior feminist, and then you have some like me somewhere in the middle, right? Probably closer to this side. When you bring people on, you realize, especially if you're like good at articulating, you're a lot closer than you thought you were. I think the problem is there's so much rhetoric that it just seems like everyone's so different, right? But when you have these discussions and you iron things out and you do them in a respectful way, like I've been doing, you realize that you're a lot closer together, and there's actually not as much disagreement, as you thought there was. Okay, so let's take, I guess. What about debating against MS? Yeah, I would love to do that too. I've reached out to him many times. So, yeah, I've tried that. So, again, the ball is in his court. So, do you see Myron or Fresh around since you? No, I haven't seen them. I've seen Fresh like maybe 4 months ago. He was with some chick. Obviously, I'm not going to like bother him, like let him do his thing. But no, I haven't seen them in a long time. Okay. Do a podcast with Taste Social. Again, I've tried to make that happen multiple times. I've reached out to him, God knows how many times, double, triple texted him. The ball's in his court. Like, I can't force these guys to do it, right? So I made the offer many times, and I can't like force them to come on. So like the pressure is on them, not on me, because again, I try to make that happen. So pretty much any big name that you guys ask me about, I've tried to make it happen. I guarantee I'll try to make that happen, multiple times. And just like, the podcast that you didn't see happening, it's because they said no or they didn't respond to me. It's not because I didn't try. So, and I do think that Tay's legit. I actually think he has like quite good cold approach skills. So it wouldn't even really be a debate; it would be more of a discussion. Okay, guys. So I think this was good. I'm gonna do a live stream. Okay, so there's going to be two. So tomorrow I have a live stream with Attraction Japan. So we're going to talk about how to bang Asian girls. That should be good. And then Friday, I'm going to have a debate with some Fresh and Fit fans, as long as they don't flake. So there's a few who emailed me who said they're down to debate me, and this is going to be really good. I'm looking forward to that one. I'm curious to see their logic and like what they think. I am wrong about when it comes to Fresh and Fit, because I will stand by every single one of my criticisms that I've ever made. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be really good. So that's going to be Friday. And I think John said he's going to come on Saturday. So we just have so many live streams and podcasts. And then Turd Flinging Monkey, he agreed. So he's going to be coming on, I believe, Sunday or Monday. So we got like so many good podcasts in the work. Unfortunately, the one podcast that's not going to be happening is going to be the Courtney Ryan Marnie podcast, because Marnie had a bad, I think she mentioned like a operation that went bad with her eye or something like that. So she's not feeling well. So yeah, so unfortunately that's not going to happen. So I wish her the best, but that's not going to be happening. Sorry. Yes, he agreed. So that's going to be happening. Someone says, let's rate these guys comment section to peer pressure these guys. Yeah, that would be good. Like literally whenever anyone criticizes me, like, oh, dude, you're so wrong about Fresh and Fit, I just say, okay, come on the live stream. Because going back and forth in the comments, it's kind of pointless, right? Like, I'm not going to waste my time doing that. I don't think anything's going to be accomplished. I want to see the guys like actually come on and have a discussion with me, right? And explain to me why I'm wrong. Like I want them to say that, and I can counter. And I think that's where it gets interesting. So anyway, if anyone's watching this who wants to debate me, or who thinks I'm too hard on Fresh and Fit or whatever, then shoot me an email, playingwithfirechannel@gmail.com. As you can see, I'm very, very open to debates. So I don't mind doing that. Someone says you have John Anthony on for Saturday. Yeah, we're shooting for that. It might get changed, but that's going to be what we're shooting for. So that should be interesting as well. When is French CEO coming on? Never, but he should, because the invite is there, but I don't think he's going to do it. RSD Julian interviewed Tyler went on Fresh. I don't think he's 100% agree with them, but he actually made good points there. Yeah, well, it's different because, I don't think he's going to come on my podcast, because I would challenge Tyler a lot more. Like, I don't think they really challenged him at all. I would challenge him a lot more, and I think he knows that. It would be in a respectful way, but I would definitely challenge him in a lot of the contradictions that he has. Like he says, looks don't matter at all. They matter 0%. Like, I got to challenge that. I can't just like let that fly, right? Like, Fresh and Fit just like doesn't care, I guess, about that, even though their whole thing is improving your SMV. So like, I'm sorry, but I'm gonna like challenge that, and we're gonna have a discussion about it. Like, I can't just like let people like say shit like that and just like just ignore the elephant in the room, right? Like, that's just not who I am. Someone, all right, I'll ask these questions. Do you get recognized in public? Once in a blue moon, yeah, I do. If I go, it's usually at night when I go to a bar or something like that. I'm always nice to people who like come up to me and shit. It's only ever been love. Like, I've never had a bad situation. Yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining in. This was a good discussion. Like I said, we're gonna have another live stream tomorrow. We got one on Friday, and that one's gonna be open platform. So hey, if you disagree with me, I encourage you to send me an email, and we'll organize it, and you can come on, and we can have a good discussion. And like I said, let's show Donovan support. So check out his channel, whatever. Subscribe, like, and subscribe. Anyway, guys, till next time.